Hi, I'm Charlotte Smith with Champoeg Creamery, and today we're going to make butter. That's probably the most common question I get asked of people who drink raw milk is how do I make butter? So today we're going to make some. And it's very simple. You probably already have everything you need in your kitchen to do it. The most important thing is really high quality cream that you want to start with, preferably raw milk cream from grass-fed cows. So I took a half-gallon jar of milk and I skimmed off about the cream off the top, which is about 2 cups of cream, and I set this on my counter this morning because the second most important thing is the cream must be at room temperature. I just took the temperature of this, it's 63 degrees. If it's too cold, you'll blend it for an hour or 30 minutes and it won't turn to butter. So you must let it set out for several hours. Lots of times if I know I'm going to be making butter in the evening, I'll set it out in the morning or set it out in the evening in order to make butter the next morning. So what we do then is you can use, I'm using a food processor, but if you have a KitchenAid type mixer, a blender, a Vitamix, even a hand blender, you can use any of those to make your butter. So let's start. Just take the cream, pour it in, and I have just the regular blade in there. That's what I'm using. And we're going to turn it on. Now the key thing you're listening for is a sound change. It's going to take probably 2, maybe 3 minutes in the food processor, blender, whatever appliance you use. And the sound will go from a dull, thudding, whipping cream sound to finally the sound of the machine will get higher and you will hear, it sounds like sloshing water. Once you hear the sloshing water sound, you know it's turned to butter, so then we'll turn it off and check. So, cream's in there, let's turn it on. Alright, so hopefully you heard that sound change where now it just sounds like water sloshing around. And just to be sure, take the lid off and look in there, and you should see yellow bits of butter floating in a white liquid, which is the buttermilk. And if you don't see it for some reason, you opened it too early, which the first few times you make butter you probably will, just turn it back on and let it go for another minute until you hear that very distinct sound change in your appliance. So now I'm just going to, what I have here is a colander and some cheesecloth and a bowl to catch the buttermilk. And I'm just going to dump it in the cheesecloth. So we have all this wonderful butter there and the buttermilk is dripping down. And you can use this buttermilk for baking. It's great, and if you don't plan on baking anytime soon, just put it in a container and freeze it until you are baking. It's great for doing that. Now we've got our butter in the cheesecloth. I'm going to simply just pick it up, wring out a little bit more of that buttermilk. You don't want to squeeze too hard because we don't want to lose our butter through the cheesecloth. But I have a nice little packet of butter right here. I'm going to just drop in there, use a spatula, get every last bit off of my cheesecloth. Set the buttermilk aside for another use. And now I have this wonderful hunk of butter in here. And look at the color. It's a beautiful golden yellow color. And I get asked all the time what I use to dye my butter with because our butter is so yellow. Just so you know, we don't use any additives or anything. It's just straight cream. But the beta carotene in the grass that the cows eat is fat soluble. So when you make butter from grass-fed cows, which is the most nutritious butter there is, it's going to be a nice golden yellow color. So that's what you're hoping for. So what I will do now is I'll work it just a little bit with the fork. The more buttermilk I get out of there, the longer it will last. So I want to get as much buttermilk to drip out as possible. That's pretty good. Done a really good job getting most of the buttermilk. And I know this is only going to last our family for, 4 or 5 days. So I know it's not going to go rancid in that time. So I'm good with that. And then I'm going to add a little cheese salt for flavor. I like the flavor of salt. You don't have to salt it. It's just personal preference. I've learned that we like just about, a half a teaspoon for when we started with 2 cups of cream. So I'm just going to work the salt in to our butter. Whoops, and I'm still losing a little bit of buttermilk, so I'm going to go ahead and just drip that into our container here. Let it be out of the bowl. There, so now we have lovely grass-fed butter that is very nutritious, one of the highest sources of vitamin D there is. And we'll just keep it on our counter and use it as the week goes on. Thank you.